So let's look at setting up our options on the Bernina 830. So I'm going to go into the setup menu, which is this top icon. Here are our options. The first one here is for the brightness of our lights. And so that's the lights in the bed of the machine and by the needle. Very easy to adjust. I can use my dials. I turn it clockwise. As you can see, it's going up. Or I can hit the plus symbol as well. Here is the brightness of the display window, and I can also change it to whatever name I'd like. Say Linda's Creative Studio, whatever you prefer. Now, this is going to tell me that there's another page here. Now, on this machine, I can actually change the background on it. And I can go up and down, so there's a page in approximately a half. So we can change it to, say, a nice blue. As you can see, the background has now changed. Let's pick a silver one. Let's go down a page. We have some wood grain. I think I'm going to leave it on the wood grain for this recording. So once I'm okay with that, I can select the check mark, or if I just want to get out of it, the X. But in this case, I'm going to select the check mark. So let's go to our second option. Now here's where I can set the speed of the machine. So 1100 stitches per minute. I can hit the minus to go down by tens. The reset brings me back to what the default, or I can use my dials, turn counterclockwise. It was already at the highest, so I can go down. So you have two options of changing this. So let's do a reset. This is for my attention. So if you ever have questions about something, you want to hit the question mark. Now tap on where you typically would enter. So in this case, either the minus or the plus button. This says I can increase the thread tension. This would be a permanent. This would be all over, not for a specific stitch. So keep that in mind. Now I can just X out of that. Now maybe we're not too sure about this number 4. Let's go ahead again. Question. Let's tap on the 4. Those are tie-off stitches. So the tie-off stitches, it's just default. Do I want it on? So the beginning of every stitch is going to do a tie-off. Some people like that. You may want to only tie off on specific stitches, then you would deactivate that. Let's go to our next page. So here we have more options that we can set up. So I've already gone, this is page 2, so this is page 1. I will have another page in here, and there I've hit the end. So this is the pressure of our foot on our machine. And here where we're telling the machine what do we want to do when we start sewing. So let's do a question mark. Hover at the lowest position. So when you stop, do you want your foot down, or do you want it come up partially or all the way? Now you would only want to hover if your needle was in the down position. So we have our 3 positions. It's hovering at the mid position, which is perfectly fine. So here we have our knotting. So again, let's go through our help. So thread cutter. So whenever I'm at the end of my stitch, so I'm at the end of a row of stitching, do I want it to automatically cut, That may be really good if you're doing piecing. If you were doing quilting, you may not want to do that because you typically want to bring your threads up and tie them off. Needle up, needle down. What position do we want it to be in? So we hit the question again. I tend to always have my needle in the down position, and then when I want it to go up, I tell the machine to go up either by hitting my up needle button on my machine or hitting my heel on my foot pedal, which will bring up the needle. Let's take a look at these two options here. We actually have two thread cutters. Let's go back. So we actually have two thread cutters that we can program into this machine. And the first one, I'll hit the help. So this is just your standard thread cutter. We can actually go to number 2, and this is the second one where I can program in the number of stitches that I would like. So use your standard one or this one. So let's go ahead and hit the help on this one. So this is thread cutter 2. I can program the number of short stitches I need to secure it. So you have your standard one, or I can program in the number of securing stitches. So this gives you that option. Brilliant. This is programming our reversal, so you can enable it or disable it. So our first screen was our speed and our tension. We want our foot, needle up, needle down, how we're doing our secure stitching, and then our hover, and then the pressure of our foot. Okay, so let's go to our next one. This is our embroidery module. So your sewing speed and embroidery speeds are independent of each other. Now, some people love to embroider at the fastest stitches possible. You'll notice on the other menu, it was 1100 stitches. For embroidery, the maximum is set at 1000. Again, we can use our dial buttons. We'll go up or down. I can hit this button and reset to go back to the factory default. This one is our tension for the upper for embroidery only. Now these are going to be our layers of fabric that we're using. 4 millimeters is perfect for cottons. If you were doing a towel, a terry towel, you may want to go 7 or even up to a 10 millimeter. This is the thickness of the fabric we are embroidering. Okay. So let's take a look at this one down here. And I'm just enabling them or disabling them by touching the icon. This is cutting between different colors, which is something that if you're stitching different colors, you'll definitely want to cut between them. How long is our jump stitch going to be? So again, I'm going to hit the help button. So this is a really handy thing. So it's going to start sewing or start embroidering, and then it'll stop because your tail is just on your embroidery. I always like to enable this option so it'll start to embroider. The machine stops. I trim my top stitch so it doesn't get caught underneath my foot, and then it goes again. I think this is one of the best options for embroidery. Okay. So this one here, enabled. So let's take a look here. Again, securing stitches. So we were talking about securing stitches when sewing. This is securing stitches when embroidering. So it could be very, very good at the beginning of an embroidery color section that you want to secure your stitches. Because what you don't want is your embroidery to come undone. Very important to do. I usually have all 3 of these enabled. Let's bring it back down to cotton. Let's go to the second page now. Now these are some of the hoops that are available for this Bernina 830. So I can select it, or I can select the hoop when I'm actually doing the design. Now there's no more pages. I can go back or just X out of this. This is my screen calibration to make sure I know where my four corners are. Sounds. Very important. So right now it's at level 1, which is very quiet. I can go up. And it'll go up in tones all the way up to 6, or I can just disable the sounds. And I can program sounds into, yeah, it'll be the same sounds. I'm just going to put those as 1. And this is for when using my BSR foot, which is your free motion foot. Let's go forward. Now here's where our warning devices are. Very important that if my top thread breaks, which has been known to happen, we want the machine to say, hey, the top thread needs attention. Bobbin, absolutely. You need to know when your bobbin is running low or you're out of bobbin thread. Again, to disable that, you would just, it's gone to sleep. And this could be my tension is not appropriate. I'm having problems with my tension. So I always recommend leaving those 3 on. Okay. This is the information on our machine. So here we have examples of needles along with the different sizes. And this is a really good reference. It'll show you some of the eyes of the needles, like a jean one. This is a very small eye compared to, say, a jersey stretch. Now these are typically used for your embroidery. A universal one, slightly smaller, and you could look at the tips of these as well. I can go forward. You can see Microtex has a very sharp point. So if you're ever curious about what kind of needle you want to use, it's in the information here. I could change the language. And here you can put in the name of your machine, where you got it from, phone number, and a website if you have one, or if you're a business, you can put your business website in there. Here we have the software, how much memory is left. This is really important because Bernina will put out firmware updates. So you want to see which one you're on now, and then what Bernina has posted on their website. And if it needs to be updated, you'll download to a USB stick, and you go through an upgrade process on your machine. So this machine has 8.3 million stitches. And it tells you the number of stitches since its last maintenance. So it's only 14,000. I can go forward. And if I wanted to do a log so I could send it in to, say, my local sewing machine repair shop, go ahead and do that. I can go back, or I can just X out of that. Now if I had determined that I needed an update, here's the update. If I tap on that, it's going to tell me how am I doing it, and you would just go through that. Here's some more settings. One wonderful thing about the Bernina 830 is that a lot of the things that you do on a normal basis, like cleaning the bobbin area, oiling it, is actually on screen here. So you don't have to go find your manual to figure out where it is. Everything is in here. So this is the first page, but if I want to go down the page, I'm just turning my dial clockwise. How to clean my feed dog area. Very important. Cleaning the hook area. And on the 8 series, that's very, very important to do. with the little brush in there. This will take you to the next page. But it's important to go down to the bottom of the page. Make sure you've got all the information you need. Now I've got the red end of page. Now I can go to the next page, and it'll actually walk me through cleaning, whatever needs to be done. Parking the embroidery arm is very important. You don't want to just take it off and put it away. You want to, what I call it, parking. In this case, embroidery arm positioning. So if I tap on that, you can hear the embroidery arm moved. It is now ready to do the next step. After about 2 seconds, the embroidery arm moves to the packing position. So now I can take my embroidery arm off. I can put it away, do my garment sewing, my piecing. I am ready to go ahead. There's a buttonhole foot calibration. We're doing embroidery today, so we'll show that in another video. Let's go back. And reset. Obviously, you'll want to hit reset when you're taking your machine in for a trade-in, where you just want to start from the beginning again. Okay, so that is a summary of our options on our Bernina 830.